things that you can do to save you money and keep your vacuum lasting longer. Okay. Hopefully this helps everybody. All right. Again, thanks for tuning in. Okay, here we go. Let's go to the overhead. Let me see. I had to do a whole new screen. If you know, my setup is a little bit different. It's a brand new year, so I have a new setup. So let's hope this works out the way it's supposed to. The first thing you want to identify is where your leaking is coming from. All right. Um, you want to know, like, let's say you put the machine on and it's leaking and it's running down the back of your shampooer. Okay, that means your reservoir. All right. Let me see if I can get this down a little bit here. See that little spot right there? Okay. This sits on a reservoir. Bissell calls it an auto receiver, and Hoover calls it a reservoir. And it really is doing the same thing. But not, the reservoir, in a way, is a little different because the reservoir is holding the solution. It starts to receive the solution, okay? But then it holds it until you press the trigger. Okay. So the moment you stick it on here, okay, if you notice on this, there's a little button here, right? So the moment you sit the water tank on here, the water's gonna start pouring out. Okay. And the reservoir now holds the water. It's a tiny little spot. It's not that big. Let me show you. Okay. Let me see. Can I even get this? Let me take this off. Give me a second. I'm gonna do my best, guys. I'm gonna do my best so you can see what I'm seeing here. So you can see what I see. All right. Um, okay, let's see. Overhead cam. Look at the overhead cam. Let me see if I can get it. All right. Am I getting it? Okay. All right, great. Hold on. Time out. You see this little section right here? Okay. This whole setup is called a reservoir. Okay, right here. All right. So what that does, okay, what that does, guys, I'm gonna see if I can see you right here. Can I see you? I can probably see you. Can see me. You can see me. All right. So what the reservoir is doing is holding the water, and then when you press the trigger, it pushes down, and then it tells the reservoir to release it, and then it releases. Okay, that's the idea. All right. Now, if the reservoir is broken, if it needs replacing, then what can happen is that a section of the reservoir will start leaking. That's a possibility. Okay. Let's say the reservoir is broken where it's not receiving the water or it's clogged or something. So the water now is the moment this hits the water. See that little button I showed you? This is what it's poking at. It's poking at this, where is it? Right here. It's poking at this. Okay. So the moment it pokes at that, let me stick my finger in there so you can see it. The moment it pokes at this, water water comes down like immediately. Okay. And that's both the Bissell and the Shampooer has that scenario. The moment it pokes, the water's going to start flowing. Now, if the water doesn't flow, then you have another issue, right? Then that trigger's not working. Okay. So the moment it pokes, the water's flowing. Now, if the reservoir is stopped up, clogged up, backed up, whatever it is, the water will overflow on this section. The water is going to overflow over here and is going to spill over. So the first thing is to identify is where's my leak coming from? If the leak is coming from up here, then something is wrong with this reservoir. Fair enough? Okay, good. Now let's move on. Now that we have that out the way, let's move on. The next step is what's good about it is that what's good about this, what I actually like about it, it seems kind of old school. It seems a little bit, but it actually is actually very effective in troubleshooting. Look, this has water tubings that you can actually see the water flowing down to the different areas. Okay. And the fact that you can see water flowing down to the different areas, that's positive. Okay, that's a good sign. That's a great because you can see if the water's actually flowing down. Okay, so when you plug it in, you can actually see if the water's going. If the water's not going, then you know you got a problem, right? All right, next up. Trying to keep this as simple as possible, so I'm hoping I'm succeeding. Okay. All right. So we just covered if the leak is up top, you focus up top. Okay. Next step, down below. Okay. And the reason why I made the video in the first place, the first video in the first place, actually, is because there was a problem that people were experiencing um, with the quick disconnect, the part that you hook up your upholstery tools to. That was leaking for a lot of people, and they couldn't use their machines. So the fact that they couldn't use their machine, they just had the machine in the closet. I'm like, well, let me give you a temporary solution until you can buy um, the pump, the quick connect pump, okay? Because it wasn't available for a long time, all right? And now there's a company out there who's selling them on Amazon. But right now they're not available for distributors like myself to be able to buy them directly right now anyway, and unless someone found something and they can share it with me. Okay. All right, here we go. Let me open this up. Let me get a little flathead screwdriver. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. So now let me slide this over a little bit. Okay, so now that you put the water on, let me do this. Let me put the water on and let me pull the trigger, right? Let me pull the trigger. And maybe you can see it. You might not be able to, but maybe you can see it. All right, I'm gonna pull the trigger. Now the water is flowing. The water is flowing to both the it's flowing to both the reservoir. I mean the reservoir. What am I saying? It's flowing to both the quick connect to section right here, and it's flowing to the main a turbine. That the water is going to go to the floor. Now, if you can see, there's some water. There's some water right here. Okay. Now, what people were experiencing before, guys, is that the water was spilling out of this unit here. Okay, it was spilling right out. So the gentleman asked me, "Hey, could I just, can we just skip all of the, you know, all of that work by taking this out and all that stuff, and can I just clog it up here?" You can. You can. I mean, the reason why I use this is that it's just the perfect fit for this tube to clog to patch it up. Let me show you what I'm talking about. The reason why I use this little section right here. Let me see if, and it's very hard to get this out without having to take it apart. That's why I did all that work, because you can't really, it's hard to take this out like this without taking the whole thing apart. But the idea is to take this out and plug it. So if the water is going down the larger tube, okay, going towards this here, you can just plug it and stop the leak if the leak is happening right here. Okay, you got it. Now I do have how's this? I won't go into all that. I do have another video that you can search um, through my Hoover tips, and you'll see the video that it's called a Hoover hack or something like that. And I'll show you what I did with this piece here. And if you have something else that you can plug it with, you can. If you can plug it at the source at the very top, you can too. Okay. If you have something, the concept is, guys, I'm just giving you a guide. But if you can plug it up here and just eliminate the tube altogether, you can do that also. Okay. But and just in case you decide later, or you were able to find this piece later, I didn't want you to make any changes. I didn't want to cut anything. I didn't want to destroy anything. because you can just buy this piece again, or maybe buy it used on eBay, or buy it new on Amazon or something, and then you still have your tubing intact. Okay, that's the idea. Okay, I kind of hope that I got off okay on that, and I didn't. Here you go, guys, and I didn't kind of lead you astray on that one. All right, now here's the next part. The leaking can also come from this, because this could be broken. Let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, this here, and I'll move off of this a second because the video title is for vacuum care, and I'm just covering this. It's just that I just got the comment. I just read it this morning, and I really don't want this individual to not get the information if I already have it, and it's hard to type it up, and it's not the same thing. All right, so I take these three screws out. Keep in mind of this spring here. All right, don't lose it. I'm just going to put it on the side. And now that this is up, I want to show you what I'm looking at. Okay. Now you see the water line is leading towards this. Okay. This compartment here, this little section right here, is where the water is flowing. Okay. The water is really not supposed to go into the fan area, into the suction area. The water is just supposed to go through this corridor and spill out on the floor. This is your spray area right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if this has a crack in it, if this has a seal, a crack, it might spill out. It's funny thing about it, it might still look like it's doing its job, like water is hitting the floor. But what's going to happen is water's going to be spilling out the side. It might spill into the motor. There are other factors that can mess up. Now, honestly, this don't happen often, but it's a possibility. Okay. All right. So I just want to cover that, guys. All right. All the different possibilities of leak. The other possibility is that the line is cut, okay, and the water is just seeping through a crack somewhere in the line. All right. And if you have any other questions on it, feel free to contact me. Leave something in a comment or something like that, and I'll be more than happy to try to correct that. Okay, and give you all the right information. Okay, so I hope I covered this the best I could to let individuals know. Also, one last thing, leaking can happen at the hose. Let's say, for example, you're shampooing the carpet, everything is good. You hook up your hose, you're leaking. Then you need to check the hose to see if there's a slit, a cut, something like that. But leaking, it's not that difficult to figure out where it's coming from. Now, knowing what to do about it might be a different story, but figuring out where the leak is coming from, it just takes paying attention. Okay? Honestly. All right, guys. Next up.
Yes!